Hey everyone, Bryan here with the BHC. A while ago I told you guys about something new we had going on here in the Guard, and now I finally get to show you guys the brand new exhibit here at the BHC. This is our brand spanking new Herodium. Now what on earth could this thing possibly be, or what is it used for? Well, thank you, I'm glad you asked. This is the final resting place for a dude named Herod. Yeah, that guy, one of the great villains of the Bible. Now, you guys may know this particular Herod because this is the same guy who ordered all of the boys 2 years old and younger to be killed during the Nativity story. This is the guy that the Magi visited, then steered clear of after their meeting with Jesus, and whom Jesus made his escape to Egypt from. This is also where I get to tell you the follow-up to his name. History knows this particular Herod as Herod the Great. Now, I for one find that name to be in poor taste considering the moral choices that this guy made in his lifetime. This guy was almost a straight-up comic book supervillain. He was filthy rich, had an enormous amount of power, and really didn't use it for good. When Herod was lying on his deathbed, he knew the Jewish people would not mourn him because he really wasn't popular with the average citizen. Before he was laid to rest in the structure, like the one behind me, he wanted people to cry on the day of his death. Pretty normal to want to be missed, if you asked me. But since he knew that nobody would mourn him, he made an order that 400 rabbis would be killed when he kicked the bucket. He knew he wouldn't get a tears or a public display of grief, but that's what he wanted, one way or another. Well, like any sane people, his brother-in-law Alexis and his sister Salome did not carry out that order. The guy was dead. What is he gonna do about it? And this is just the tip of the iceberg of what this guy did during his tenure on Earth. So I'm gonna rapid fire some of the other things that he did. Some was before he was named king by the Romans, and some of them was after. This helps keep it PG because, geez, this guy was morally bankrupt, and this is a family show. 1. Evidence indicates that he had a secret police that monitored the public opinion and suppressed it if necessary. 2. He had a bunch of his own sons killed, in which the Emperor of Rome chimed in with a rather amusing quote to say, "It's better to be Herod's pig than his own son." This is coming from the guy who is his patron and a guy who is supposed to be his friend. 3. To secure power and a claim to the throne in Israel, he married a granddaughter of a Jewish king and then promptly banished his previous wife and son. 4. He had his favorite wife executed, her body preserved in honey in the basement, and then visited her often. 5. He had his brother-in-law drowned at a pool party and countless others assassinated for political gain. Sound like a guy you want to invite over for Passover? And that's just a small taste of the moral compass that this guy had, because I could go on for a while talking about Herod's crimes against God and his own people. So how did this paranoid and morally bankrupt guy end up with the title the Great? Well, obviously it's not from the devotion to the Jewish faith, because he did convert to Judaism. It's because the guy was an avid builder, architect, and artist. He is the one who rebuilt the temple in Jerusalem. He is also the guy to build Caesarea Maritima, a trading port city that added a shot of espresso to the economy of the region. He built palaces, gardens, cities, and refurbished some older ones as well. He built fortresses like the Palace of Masada, which also acted as a fortress due to its strategic positioning location. His architecture and art was so widespread that it influenced Jewish art for hundreds of years. And so all of these projects required workers to get them done, so money was constantly flowing out of the king's hands and into the hands of the people. This created a very stable economy for his people and made most of the people satisfied with their day-to-day living. His contributions to architecture, art, culture, and economic stability were, well, in a word, great. And this is why this mad king is remembered in the history books as Herod the Great. He rubbed shoulders with Roman elite and eliminated anyone that got in his way, but at the same time provided stability and order for an otherwise really volatile region. Now, some of the things he did, well, it eventually led to discontentment with the Roman government, and some of the causes for the first Jewish revolt in 68 AD can be tied directly back to some of Herod's choices of leadership. So was this king great? Yeah. That boils down to your opinion. Mine is that he was a power-hungry, conniving, paranoid man that would do anything to stay in power and be remembered. and at the end of his life, the man went truly mad. Although, there is evidence that it wasn't entirely his fault. There is strong evidence that at the end of his life, he had a kidney disease and, worm-infested gangrene in a rather unfortunate part of his body. Don't look at me, that's just the history. He tried to commit suicide because of these conditions, but was stopped, only to die of the diseases later. His late-life insanity is often attributed to these multitude of diseases that racked his body at the end of his life. So, an argument could be made that his poor decisions were not entirely his fault. I, for one, am not sure about that, considering his decisions he made while he was young and disease-free. A power-hungry and paranoid ruler is a dangerous one. However, his contributions to the art and culture of the Israeli people cannot be denied. And that is represented by his final resting place here in our garden. Now, the real Herodium was much bigger than the one behind me, but the real one was also immediately desecrated soon after Herod's death. His sarcophagus has been found, but is in, pretty poor condition. Yeah, looks like that. Very ornate, but has some pieces missing. So should he be called Herod the Great or Herod the Mad? I think I'll leave that one up to you. Either way, he definitely made a great mark on history. Well, I hope you enjoyed that brief summation of the life of King Herod. If you like that, you should check out this video where I talk about the 3 wise men in the Christmas story. So yeah, good to see you, and I'll see you next time.